We're ready, let's begin. I know, there are many things in our world that we don't understand, no matter how much we study, learn, or read. Some things, especially those related to the unseen, remain beyond our comprehension, no matter what we do. Some matters happen, and only God knows about them. Allah, the Almighty, has hidden certain things from us because they are beyond our understanding and even more complex than we can imagine. We can't even imagine them. Simply put, no matter how much we hear about such things, we won't be able to comprehend or understand them. Today's story is of that kind. Neither the police, the courts, nor even we can fully grasp it. What are you trying to tell us? Are you saying an alien committed a crime? Wait, let me tell you something. If you work in a field that relies on evidence, witness testimonies, and facts, you won't be able to understand this story or what happened in it. Why? Because you simply want tangible evidence, and in this story, I won't provide you with any tangible evidence. Why? Because no officer, policeman, lawyer, or judge has been able to handle today's story. If you're trying to understand it, I don't think you'll be able to. Ferris, let's just tell the story. All right, I swear to God, I'm ready. But first, I need to tell you that today's story is written by the talented Wijdan al-Shamari. What does that mean? Does it mean the story's bad? No, I'm joking. It's not bad. It's a very nice story. But Wijdan always starts with stories that no one can understand or stories longer than my life. So bear with her in her madness. But I know you've forgotten. No, I haven't forgotten. Let's have some refreshing water. Praise be to God, and let's begin. Peace be upon you. I know my introduction was a bit long, so to avoid making it longer, let's dive into the story. Our story takes place in 1980 in the United States, in a city called Burbank, located in California. One day at noon, everyone was busy. The streets of the city were crowded. At 2 p.m., schools were out, just like us. After 2 p.m., students leave schools and the streets are packed. The sound of car horns, traffic at the signals, school buses everywhere. Everyone was frustrated on the streets, just like us in Kuwait. I know what you're saying. This is the situation everywhere at noon, not just in Burbank. But let me tell you, people weren't frustrated because of the traffic jam. They were frustrated because of something else. There was something making them act unnaturally. In every car stuck in traffic, the news was being broadcast. Everyone had their car radios on, listening to the news. During this time, at noon, they would play the news, and people were listening. Here's California news today. It's December 17th, 1980. The weather is nice and the sun is out. That's all from the news, and we wish you a good day. Now here are the top stories. Meanwhile, while the news was being broadcast in the same area, there was an aircraft factory in the city. It was the Lockheed Aircraft Factory, a huge aircraft company with a factory in the same area. They were working on aircraft parts and had a lot of work to finish, so they had the radio on, listening to the news. No one was paying much attention. The place was full of quality experts, engineers, and workers. Everyone was working hard to finish before the end of their shift. The talk was nice, of course. There was a woman working at the Lockheed Aircraft Factory named Etta Louise Smith, age 32. She was one of the quality experts and considered one of the most experienced employees at the factory. She had recently divorced and became a single mother with 2 daughters. She was working hard to provide for her 2 daughters. Despite the difficulty of working at the factory, they paid well, making the effort worth it. She was very ambitious and wanted to prove herself at the factory because, in the 1980s, women had to work hard to prove themselves in America, especially in a male-dominated factory. It wasn't easy for any woman to get a job at such a factory. Etta was rational, balanced, and very efficient at her work, especially in a place like an aircraft factory. There was no room for emotions. If you weren't good, you'd be fired immediately. So Etta was working that day, deep in thought, when her thoughts were interrupted by the radio. She heard on the radio that after 2 days of continuous search, the missing mother, Melanie Reibe, had not been found. Melanie Reibe had gone missing, and the police were looking for her. Everyone was following the case, but unfortunately, there was no trace of her. Etta went back to thinking about Melanie Reibe, who had occupied everyone's minds. The residents of Burbank couldn't sleep because of this story. Melanie, the missing woman, was a nurse at Burbank Hospital, age 31, almost the same age as Etta. She was also a single mother with one son. She was very organized and had never been late to work. If she had to be late, she would always call and inform them. She was serious about her work, and her son meant everything to her. She worked hard to provide for him. She was a kind and gentle person, deserving of the title Angel of Mercy. On December 15, 1980, 2 days before, Melanie had a night shift at the hospital. Nurses work in shifts, morning, afternoon, and night. On December 15, 1980, she had a night shift, but suddenly, without any warning, Melanie didn't show up for work. Everyone at the hospital was sure something had happened to her. A person who was always punctual suddenly didn't show up. It was strange. She didn't call or give any notice. She just disappeared. Naturally, they were worried and immediately reported her missing to the police. The police understood the situation well. Melanie's supervisor at work spoke to the officer and explained that she had never been late and always called if she was going to be late. It was impossible for her to just disappear. The officer understood the situation and immediately went to her house. They knocked on the door, but no one answered. Even her 8-year-old son wasn't there. She had left him with relatives. A few hours after her disappearance, at exactly 10:45 a.m., the police received a report from a man who was scared. He said he saw a woman wearing a nurse's uniform and a leather jacket in her car at a red light. The light was on the road leading to Burbank Hospital. The woman was waiting for the light to turn green when suddenly, men with covered faces and gloves rushed toward her. They were armed, got into her car, and kidnapped her. The next day, on December 16, 1980, the police found Melanie's car on the highway outside the city limits. It was burned to ashes. The police announced the news of Melanie's disappearance and released her photo, asking anyone with information to come forward. In a country like the United States, especially in the 1970s and 1980s, there were many serial killers, particularly in California. The news spread quickly. It wasn't ordinary news. Imagine, everyone went out and bought locks for their doors. People were scared. Women stopped walking alone, and the police station was flooded with calls. People were angry and demanded that security be restored to the area. We used to live in safety. How could this happen? How could she be kidnapped in broad daylight? Where is the safety? Bring back our safety. The police had a point. They didn't need another serial killer in the area. The woman was kidnapped. Bring her back. Where is the safety? Where are the police? How could she be kidnapped in the middle of the street at a traffic light in front of everyone? What are they doing? Etta was thinking about all these things while working at the factory. She was deep in thought, just like me. She was close to my age, so something like this could happen to me. What about her son? Where is she now? Etta tried to push these thoughts away and focus on the news on the radio. She heard the announcer say, "After searching Melanie's house, nothing was found." The search extended to the nurse's dormitory near the hospital, but nothing was found. Etta got angry and said to herself, "What's wrong with them? Donkeys. They don't understand. The woman's car was found burned on the highway in the desert, and they're searching her house and the dormitory? Donkeys!" She didn't actually say donkey, but that's what I'm saying. The woman's car was burned on the highway, and they're searching her house? Where are they looking? She's been kidnapped. How would she return home? And her car is burned too. How are the police thinking? It was natural for her to get upset, just like I got upset.